Is there a risk that we as fleshy humans develop almost a lazy attitude and start shifting our work to AI?
I find it difficult sometimes to rely on the notes. Yes.
So how do you manage it in the workplace? I mean, it creeps into my life with meetings, with Copilot, or many different ones.
Guys, welcome. Episode 15 of the InfoMatters podcast. And how we got to 15 episodes, I don't know. We have not had the cease and desist letter yet. And for as long as that's the case, we shall continue. So, guys, welcome to another episode. Welcome to the Secret Bunker.
Welcome.
And we always say, of course, Danny, the business of the podcast.
Yeah. So, welcome to episode 15. If it is, you need to start ringing that bell and subscribing to that bell more often, because we got some freebies.
Yeah.
So to Dave again, who came in last week, we'll be sending this off to you shortly for your comments last week. We've also got some very attractive InfoMatters t-shirts, which I'll be
and
wearing.
some other memorabilia.
We won't when I'm cleaning the house later because I have to do it. On another note, thanks again to Xtelligence, who powers InfoMatters podcast. The topic today, loosely around artificial intelligence in the workplace. Workplace being people power that Xtelligence provide. So if you go onto the website that's listed below, you have any requirements or questions, pop us an email to email@infomatterspodcast.com. I didn't say cat this time.
And I'll stop Danny right there and say it's hosts at InfoMatters podcast.
So I didn't get the cat in this time, and I've just found out I'm allergic to
it's
them.
okay. So just to remind Danny, we'll put that on in big.
So ring that bell, have a look below. There's many opportunities out there. So Kenny, today's guest is not somebody we know, but we know people who know her.
People who know her now. And we welcome Magdalena from through a very good, you'll know David, who's been on the podcast a couple of times. And we had a wonderful referral to invite Magdalena on the podcast, of which we welcome you. Now, there's a recurring theme on the podcast around AI, but the AI, as we know, is just a kind of tool or a process, whatever it might be. But we thought we'd talk about this week about...
Well, first of all, yourself. Tell us about yourself.
We should start with
Do you know Dracula?
Yes, we are related. Yes.
So Magdalena's from Romania, Cefaj.
Yes.
There you go. Kenny can't say that. I can. Over to you.
Yeah, so I'm very honored to be here with you today. And thanks, David, again. So I am excited to talk about AI because, as I always say at work, it's me, myself, and AI when it comes to work.
I like that.
And
I really like that. So,
I'm a big fan of it, to be honest. Whereas I also still love people, so just to say that.
That's the interesting one.
Because I selectively like people. Most of the time I don't. So it's me, myself, and AI, I think, is the way to go.
Yeah. And we're all from the pharma industry at some point.
Exactly.
Yeah, so more tickets are going to roll in.
Absolutely.
So the first kind of question is, generalization is, they say, AI, to help you in the workplace, but it's also replacing people in the workplace. Mainly manufacturing, I suppose, with cars and what have you. What are your thoughts on AI in your workspace and how it's assisting you with you and your team and helping the world?
Yeah, so I think that, mainly AI is out there to help us. And as long as it replaces, let's say, repetitive tasks and routine tasks that stop productivity or make it much harder, I think we should take advantage of it. And we should try to focus on our other skills, on our creativity as well, on learning new technical and soft skills that we might miss. So thanks to the time that we save, thanks to AI with the repetitive tasks, I think that it's actually a good thing. I think that it's up to us how we want to integrate it into our professional life.
I just wish you'd let me watch the last episode of Shogun this morning, but it was back-to-back meetings. I just wanted to go, AI, do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, take some notes. Copilot,
No, the Copilot.
I'm a massive Copilot fan. I'm part of a pilot group in the office, and there's a number.
Are you a pilot? I noticed a reference to an aeroplane.
Nice.
Well, this is no, it's not a pilot, but it's a reminder for me to take off as soon as my mission is accomplished, like in whatever space of my life.
Interesting.
Yeah, so just not to dwell on if it's accomplished, then you move to the next mission.
We have talked a lot about on the podcast around the job replacement risk and all this kind of stuff, and one of the things I had in mind was, surely it's quite easy to develop an over-reliance on AI and its capabilities. Now, we know it's incredibly capable in a bunch of ways, and that always grows. Is there a risk that we as fleshy humans develop almost a lazy attitude and start shifting our work to AI?
Yeah, definitely there is this risk because as humans usually we tend to,
Slide on the sides of it.
Yeah, exactly. However, I think we can avoid it if we are self-aware and if we develop our personal strategies on how not to become lazy. I really see a risk in our losing, let's say, certain types of expertises because we just rely on AI as a tool to do it for us. And I also maybe see a risk in us not taking advantage of the time that AI saves for us in a good way.
You're going to say using that to watch TV, Daniel.
Not necessarily, but yeah. And also, of course, I really see a very high probability of cyber risks. So,
you're on the right show. You're on the
ring
right
that bell. There's more to come.
Yeah, you'll be saying dump soon.
Yes,
So how do you manage it in the workplace? I mean, it creeps into my life with meetings, with Copilot, or many different ones. Some of the questions generated by ChatGPT, but in the workplace, we'll do cybersecurity shortly.
Yeah.
How do you manage it with your teams, with your projects, with your missions? How are you integrating it? But how are you managing it so it doesn't escalate out of control?
So how I personally use it in what I'm doing, and also in our group, I really rely a lot on Copilot. I'm also part of the Copilot pilot team, right?
Yep, so
so it really gives me the possibility to be present in multiple meetings taking place at the same time.
Meetings or companies, moonlighting.
Busted.
No, not really. But that's really helpful. What I find sometimes annoying is that because of the nature of my background, tribal booking anyway, that has always been the case for me even before Copilot for the past years. But I find it difficult sometimes to rely on the notes. So I tend to go back sometimes. And
I'm on smoking. It's like, Danny said, I love Chewbacca. I didn't. I didn't say that. No reference to Star Wars.
Kenny said he'll do it by Tuesday.
But you've got to, you know what I mean? You've got to double check until it learns. Because I know there's behavioural algorithms in there as well. I mean, chances are my notes would say Chewbacca because that's just the kind of balloon knot that I am. But so it's, you've got to go back and check. But I think sometimes, you need that human touch regardless.
Yes.
Otherwise, we are pointless, basically, because then it can mimic our meetings, mimic our questions, foresee the future.
And I kind of have an evolution of this Copilot in mind, which it becomes, there's an instance of that becomes me, dangerous, I know, where I can send it and go, right, I'm going to watch...
Yeah, Shogun, it's brilliant.
Shogun, you should watch
Disney,
Netflix, or Disney,
Disney.
And I can send it off to my meetings, and I get the summary notes,
max headroom,
and of course the notes of a meeting and the in the project management terms, all your documents are all your contracts with your stakeholders. Whereas these contracts become far more reliable. Because if Hermione, don't know why I said Hermione, or Derek said,
you've been watching Harry Potter. He's not doing his meetings.
But they said you can actually go back and say you bloody well did say you're going to do it by Tuesday and you're going to make it green, or it wasn't true, but no, you want it to be true. Do you believe that takes the human out, the human part out of it?
No.
You believe that to be useful?
No.
No. Kenny, no.
No, I think it's great. I mean, I love the part regarding action items.
Yes.
And the names, right? Who does what? So I love it. I think that on the other hand, me as, leading a project, for instance, I can still decide if this is going to happen according to the action items or differently. Yeah. So the human factor is still out there.
Yeah. And onto a cybersecurity note.
Yeah.
90% of errors are human errors that lead to cybersecurity. So we do need a reliance on AI to, especially for port lockdowns or, stopping vector attacks, what have you, or watching Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But, so it's a case of learning to work alongside.
Yes.
Yeah.
But without letting
as well as versus instead of, right? So it's not replacing the...
No, it's not. I mean, definitely not in what I'm doing, I would say. So I guess it depends a lot on the field that one is, right? So in my field, I don't see it replacing me, for instance. I can definitely imagine it, let's say, saving on costs and replacing certain, processes because it just works faster. But I still think that it needs to be checked. And, so the human factor needs to be there, double checking, especially in the cyberspace, because otherwise, it can get out of control, really.
Yeah, or you can create an algorithm to correct the algorithm that is the algorithm, and then we're gone anyway.
And all of a sudden we're not.
But it is inevitable because all of these tools now are they're learning tools, but they learn by themselves, and they learn your mistakes to a point where you won't recognise that mistake because he's told you it's not right. And oh shit!
Danny and I years ago through our migration experience before we stepped into cyber, always envisaged a big migration button, and you'd push the button, and behind that all the processes would kick off, and we go to the pub. We wouldn't go to the pub. And all the kind of appropriate steps would happen. Somebody would issue the change control, that would be duly approved. That's not too far from the truth when you consider that a lot of this AI is essentially heavily scripted task sequence, and that sort of stuff. So you can set tolerances and approval levels and that sort of stuff. So stuff can happen a lot more in a slick fashion. There's always the risk that somebody gets a little bit overzealous in their automation and stuff gets approved, and that just is way too fast because it's beyond human consideration, where somebody might go, well, hang on, that's not the kind of bulk change we want to make all at one time, all this kind of good stuff. So I'm always comfortable thinking that in project management terms we have the ultimate throttle control, and but there's certainly some accountability that particularly in AI brings to the likes of Copilot, where you can't be, if you say one thing, you'll be held accountable. And I as a project manager, love that.
Yes.
These contracts and agreements that you're making that kind of push things forward are all very verbatim. You can refer back, and you're literally quoted. And it's just genius. I did it today. It was absolutely fantastic.
But surely in the workplace, I mean, I'm not to what other extent. Copilot is one aspect. Do you use anything else that you're preparing for? Because I assume training, communication using these tools is key.
Yeah, so we have in our company, we have an internally developed tool with various features, and it's really great. So for instance, if I want to use, let's say, AI for work and handle
in the company,
company documents, we have our own tools, and this makes my life much easier because, for instance, if I have to study, I don't know, the NIS2, 100 pages.
It just keeps coming back. The gift that keeps on giving.
Like I just, if I'm looking for specific reminders, like what was it saying in this article 23 and so on, I just put out there, it extracts this and so on, and I can do it. Okay, that's anyway public on the internet, so maybe it's not a good example, but if there is a policy, for instance, that I want a summary of, and
I mean, at the very least, Chat GPT or AI is just an evolution of the search engine. It's far more prescriptive, and we used to use search terms. Now you can ask questions and you get back a properly crafted answer, which is beautiful because it helps you learn. And if you wanted to send that somewhere, then of course you can.
So how do you see again back to there's AI in the workplace, and you mentioned cybersecurity.
Yes.
So what in your view are the challenges in your current? I mean, it doesn't matter on the company whether it's farm, whether it's whatever. How do you foresee it? What are your biggest worries?
My biggest worries are the deep fakes because they're already happening.
Yeah, it's a lot of attention with that at the moment. Yeah.
So they're happening.
Debbie does Dallas.
Or Dallas does Debbie.
Sorry, that's a reference because a lot of it's used in the in the adult industry.
Yeah.
We'll nip it in the bud there. I said pharmaceuticals.
No, I think in any industry, like for instance, let's say executive people holding very high positions and who have a pretty heavy an online presence all over the internet with real videos from conferences or interviews and pictures, and I think I see it as a very high threat. And personally, even if I'm in this space, cyberspace, and I consider myself very well equipped to recognize certain things, I'm not 100% sure that I would be able to recognize a well-done deep fake, right? So, for instance, that's something which worries me, and not only when it's work-related or business-related, but also in our personal lives, right? Yeah. I have kids, I have sons, so
sure.
I don't even want to think how that can evolve. So, also spear phishing. So I've seen some examples.
I'm sure the ex-president Donald Trump is a deep fake. He's off his head. They'll be deep faking him when he's in prison.
I was about to say.
That one. That was really
they'll kidnap him and his deep fake.
He'll kidnap himself and his deep fake could be the president.
But they do say.
Sorry, Donald Trump, if you're watching.
He's not allowed TV or internet access. I was going to say, they do see deep fakes of deep fakes.
Yes.
Are deeply convincing.
Yes.
So you use readily available videos to generate the deep fake, and then you AI the deep fake, and it's even more.
We had a friend, Stuart Watkins, was on, and his software is used by NASA.
Oh.
Now, NASA's not just sending people to the moon. It's technology that's used in everyday life, in aircraft, in transport.
Yeah.
And you just think, you're getting to that level. We've also had a colleague on, Ward, who, uses a supercomputer, one of the top 10 supercomputers, for the US government and deep fakes. We had a forensic colleague in Novartis, in pharma, and that was his job, was identifying these. I mean, it went way worse. It's disgusting the things that people do.
Yeah.
But it's also disgusting how people are exploited and they don't know they're doing it. But then, and that's that.
I know you've got that kind of AI. I don't know how best to describe it. Where you take what, God forbid, might be something horrible, and it creates variations of that.
Well, that's why I'm scared. I use Copilot, and if I don't check my notes, and I send it out and spam it to all my stakeholders, and I did say I love Chewbacca. That might get seen wrong.
Well, that would be verbatim, but that requires an explanation.
That's a tiny little thing that
Throwaway comment, right?
Yes, I'm not a deep fake.
I mean, in the office today in Glasgow, I was talking to a guy, and he was referring to the beans in the cupboard analogy. I don't quite know how best to explain that, but if that popped up in your notes, that might require an explanation, right? It made sense at the time.
Thinking, you want
no, exactly.
I can imagine the scene.
The analogy was, I mean, we did all go, what?
My question: how many Tinder beans have you got? And who gave you the permission?
Do you know? It wasn't
tailgating.
Exactly. Well, exactly. So names shall remain nameless, but we did a look at the chap and go, I don't know what we're talking about. Anyway, it became good, and we went full circle. He was understood in the end. Now,
so back to deepfakes.
So deepfakes and deepfakes. So we have all this risk about the evolution and the misuse, we say, of AI. We have, of course, the good stuff. Technology always has good stuff. Conversely, we have hideous stuff. I mean, how do we best protect ourselves as education? Are there... I can kind of see an evolution of tools coming where they'll stop AI doing stuff. Is that...
We hope so.
If we can stop it,
Well, I have full faith that we can, and I think that even if it's not confirmed yet, I like to believe that there are companies out there who have been working on it, right?
That's going to be an AI company who develops the AI to defend it against AI.
It'll be a deep fake.
Deep fake AI defending against...
This is going to be a totally...
It'll breed a whole new
business.
Category of business.
Yeah, definitely. No, I really think as, let's say, normal people or normal business people, I think that what we can do is definitely to upskill ourselves and make sure that everyone around us at work, but also in the family, right, in our private life, gets the right level of education of courses, and there is so much free stuff out there and so many YouTube videos, really good ones. So I'm trying, for instance, to pass a lot of stuff to my son as well.
That's key.
With cyber stuff as well.
With having a stepdaughter, and we didn't have these tools when we were younger. We didn't have internet.
We didn't need them. We didn't really need them.
We had a football. You meet your friends, and if I wanted to call somebody like Dave or Trainer, I'd put 10p and give my mum 10p. I'd make one phone call, and I'd meet them on a Friday.
You did that? My mum was 20p. Cheeky. Okay.
Yeah, you had a better paper round. And it's how far do you govern? So now there's rules in the UK in schools that under 16-year-olds no telephones.
Oh.
Cool. We didn't have telephones. You don't need them,
and you learned more.
But the deep fake thing scares me. So they might watch a YouTube video about somebody who's a famous celebrity, but it's not them, and then they're convincing it's not, and it's the world just gets blown out of proportion.
And on that very point, Danny, somebody said to me this week, they absorb it, but they don't learn from it. So there's watching content, and then there's absorbing it.
It's like Johnny Five from Short Circuit. Feed me.
Oh yeah.
Input.
Johnny Five. Yes.
Input. Yeah.
We'll have to put that on because a lot of you people are of an age where you won't know what that. Yeah, Short Circuit. Yeah, Johnny Five. Yeah. Do you remember that?
No.
It's only the old people, Daniel.
But you can watch it in 8 different languages.
Country, okay?
Short Circuit was fairly international,
Yes.
And so if training is the way to go, and I mean, I love the idea of kind of, did we say, depriving your son of access to this free for all nonsense. Do we think that's going to work? Or has technology got such an advance it won't?
Look, he got his mobile phone a few years back, but he wasn't really using it. It was at home all the time. So this school year is the first school year when he takes his phone to school. He used to have a smartwatch, and it broke twice. So after buying the second watch, I understood.
Did you break it? Did you break it?
It just happened.
But a phone's for calling, remember, isn't it? You want to call me when you're in trouble. But anyway, so don't trouble.
No, but the good thing is his school also forbids the use.
So they have some rules around it.
Yeah,
Good,
so they can't use the phone when they're at school, which is great. I'm very grateful.
Unless there's an emergency, which is what it's for.
Well, he has to go to his teacher, right?
Yeah.
But I'm trying, like, because he has a phone and he has a tariff a month, and I'm not flexible about it. So if he finishes his data, I'm like, you don't need data because the school is telling its own food from our place. So, you're home, you have Wi-Fi.
Okay.
In any case, what I want to get is to your question is that I'm very aware that as much as I'm trying to limit stuff at this age, and as I'm a working mom, it's impossible to limit
to police it
and to police it. But I try to mitigate the potential damage through honest conversations. We talk about everything. So I hope this will have a good impact in his,
Wish everyone would do the same.
Exactly. I mean, whenever I go and see my niece, she's, hi, Kenny, good to see you, and all that.
No, the worst is you know that they're like this, but when you call them, they don't answer. And I've actually walked past, my stepdaughter down by the river with my wife, and we can't get hold of her. And then we go, oh, there she is, with the phone in her hand, chatting away. I love you to bits, Natty, if you're watching this. But
pick up the phone.
But we know you've got your phone, and I'm not a deep fake.
Yeah, and because your face is in it all the time. Yeah, exactly.
No, I threatened that I would stop paying for his, because I want.
Then he might get a paper on it.
So he has got better, so he picks up. Yeah.
No, his SLA on answering to mum's got better, huh?
Yeah.
I suppose that you need to appreciate it as well. Before we started this, we were talking about paper rounds and milk floats and the first electric vehicles.
Yeah,
and
of course.
The younger generation these days, accepting some of our rules, they just won't. It's just the way that the world is at the moment, which is quite horrifying to us. But we have to educate ourselves about the way of their world, because our world's different as mums and dads and
we were talking earlier. I mean, I think you and I were forced into jobs because if you wanted money for your Nokia 2110, you went and you got your paper on your milk round and all that kind of stuff, and the maximum I ever got was 50%. If it was close to my birthday, 75%. If it was Christmas, 80%. But you had to contribute. Now the want world, as I call it, is because they see all this stuff on social media. I mean, I to a certain degree, I would be unplugging a certain proportions of the youth for a period of time.
But it's AI that's targeting the youth.
Of course, it is.
What they like, what shoes the friends are wearing, what applications use this, use.
Look,
TikTok,
I think that we still have a say. I mean, I'm really old school. I'm also
get in there.
Yes, like
age as well. And I'm like, I come also from a part of Europe where I started working at 13. So I wanted some Depeche Mode jeans.
Depeche Mode jeans? I thought they made music.
They do.
They do, but they had some baggy kind of mustard yellow jeans. And it was the 90s, back in Romania. My parents were teachers. They didn't make much money, and we had a very huge inflation. So my mom was like, no chance. No, like you don't need them. They are ugly, and I'm not buying this because we can't afford it.
Yeah.
And I was, bothering her so much. So she was like, okay, you can buy them yourselves. You have to start working. I was like, we don't have any McDonald's here. I had a big mouth always. So she was like,
mustard jeans and McDonald's. If you're in Romania in the 90s, you might have seen Magdalena like a giant watching French fry. Watching.
So she was like, so do you want to work? And I was like, yeah. So she was an English and French teacher. So she was like, you can have all the small kids. She wasn't enjoying teaching 6-year-olds, and so I started. Because
whoever enjoys teaching 6-year-olds.
I started teaching languages, and I've been working for. I could retire. I don't want to betray my age, but I could really retire. So
I'm moving to Romania. What's your mum's number?
She lives with me now. So
we were discussing with Magdalena the number of languages she speaks. Now I speak English badly because I'm Scottish.
8.5 languages.
And how many languages?
8.5.
Nice.
I mean, that's just.
I thought I was pretty good. But,
I mean, that's a walking AI as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, I was able to say hi, how are you in Romania when we walked in. So,
great
plus point.
Yeah, exactly.
Great accent. No, I'm doing it for my old age. Because I really have seen so many cases of dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So I read many years ago that the more languages you speak, the more you
less chance of
languages are amazing. They're amazing.
Yeah, you.
So let's see. We'll
and
see.
you still look like 22, so I wish I could retire at 20. Then again, that was 30 years ago. I'm buggered.
I always like to ask our guests, where's the evolution? I mean, I saw yesterday. There's another version of ChatGPT. There's a marketplace now.
Bob GPT.
Or Bob, or something exactly.
I just all these the word bobbing.
It's kind of his thing. That and dump. Where if we say what? And it's not. I'm not going to say 3 to 5 years. Let's say 3 to 5 months, or even a year. Let's say a year. What 2 things to get excited about? 2 things to be worried about.
So I would say that the 2 things to get excited about is going to be that there are going to be many less hallucinations, AI hallucinations.
Hallucinations.
Yes, AI hallucinates sometimes, and you can ask something, and it gives you a
So
very
many questions.
nicely sounding answer prompt. You put in the prompt
And it goes to town
and then if you double check, especially if you ask about a particular law, it happened to me.
and that's called a hallucination.
Yes, it
fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah, it
I got scared. I thought you
no,
put
no.
something in my Red Bull. Woohoo! I can see Khaled up my bum.
Yeah. So I really, I'm
Interesting.
excited to that because I usually tend to control everything and double check everything.
Sure. I'm sure we should, right?
Yeah, as we should. And basically, so I'm looking forward to that because I think this for me personally is going to be a relief.
Okay.
The more I see that it's not hallucinating, the more comfortable I'm going to
I
feel.
love the fact you said that it's hallucinating. ChatGPT's off its face.
If I get home and Alexa's playing the Lord of the Valkyrie,
and your little screen's bounced up and down, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And and another thing is I really hope that it will get to a point where it could represent me in a meeting while I'm in
Wouldn't that be great?
Max Headroom.
No, because I'd be like,
yeah. You'll be watching.
Right, so,
Yes, exactly.
right.
I'll be rewatching Shogun in
Kind
German.
of a good type of deepfake, right? So yeah.
Represent.
Guten Tag,
No, but
Shogun Samurai.
when you
Bitte.
say represent me in a meeting, you mean all your meetings.
No, just certain ones.
Really? 'Cause, I mean, at the moment, a lot of my meetings are actually
you get
genuinely interesting, but it'd be nice to do 2 meetings at the same
You just
time.
get
and more
meetings where
done.
if you're not hosting it, but you
Oh,
need
you
to
can.
be part of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like watching a re-recorded version of it. But yeah.
and in the background, it's listening to you and learning all that kind of stuff. And then you get a deep fake.
Yeah, that would be a positive deep fake, right? Because it would,
Positive deep fake. There's an oxymoron. Is that what you call it? You'll know, Daniel.
Oh, there's oxymorons everywhere. I'm hallucinating.
I was about to say. So while it's not off its face and all that kind of stuff, 2 things to worry about.
deep fakes.
So deep fakes and deep fake. Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
fair.
the ones that we don't want, and I think also let's say mental issues that it can cause.
Definitely. That's a crack.
Yeah, a lot of people have been full of that. Yeah, true.
So mental health generally, I think that AI can really impact it in negative ways because it can maybe.
You mean those that are deep faked?
Well, I mean,
Not only like in
talking
anything.
about the anxiety for people, the depression.
Yeah.
There's one of these little news things that we do, and it's the widespread adoption of artificial intelligence has promised to create new jobs and make workers more productive. But these changes come with a cost. Since 2000, automation systems have slowly phased out, and manufacturing jobs, 1.7 million of them, have phased out. And that's 1.7 million people whose jobs have been replaced by a technology.
Yes.
And I'll never go back.
That'll never go back.
Yeah.
And that's quite a frightening perspective. I mean, we're fortunate that we're not there. That we're not.
Well, I mean,
but,
and
you can retire anyway. So,
and along with that, continue that we've got people-based roles.
Well, that's a frightening aspect of it. Is the impact on the average Joe Blogg.
Yeah, that's a rechain or Doku, right?
Yeah. On that note, we do want to thank Xtelligent again for the InfoMatters. No, I'm just.
We need to.
Yeah, I'm scared. He said this. The camera's going to get me fired. No, go on.
We have to give you. Otherwise, we'll get fired. Right. So, we do apologise. The 2 points. The second point was of something to be scared of. Well, maybe we should end on a positive point. Maybe a third.
Well, I really think that everything is in our hands. Like each human being, has the power to self-determine how they use AI and how they make the best use out of it. And I think that disregarding the sector one is in, even, let's say blue collar sectors. I think that people, if they have the open-mindedness and the, faith in themselves that they can learn new skills and constantly reinvent themselves. Although it might get to be exhausting, right?
Well, I think it's a good point. It is in our hands. If you're willing to upskill yourself,
absolutely,
we all have to do it on a daily basis. There's new technologies,
passive
new processes.
learning. Maybe this is a bit of an active learning. What is it they say? Your job won't be replaced by AI, but it will be replaced by the people who
use it.
You use it, right? What's to that effect, right? That kind of makes sense.
That's the
made
same.
sense in my head.
I mean, 100 years ago, it was the same. You want to be a pilot, you still need to be a pilot. People that just don't do it. It's just a technology that's doing it now, as opposed to a physical person. But it's a positive thing. I
think generally it is. Everything in moderation, including moderation. So there's some controls there, be that cyber or managerial or educational, if the youth are involved, which of course they always are. So your view on where this is going, particularly in the corporate world, we know deepfake pertains mainly, to our personal worlds. Are there roles or activities in the corporate world primarily at risk from AI? I tend to go down the developer route. You're going to hate us. No, we love you dearly.
And sales and
marketing. What do you think?
Short answer is definitely yes.
It's her fault.
But I think that there is a huge opportunity for such roles, because I think that they have the privilege to understand what are the technical skills they can learn, or even get an expertise in. I can think of machine learning, deep learning. So I would say that they will have definitely a higher chance of being able to try to focus on AI supporting technologies.
So exploiting AI versus being at the behest of it.
Because I think one of the things, kind of the point. So if I'm a developer and I'm developing software, will there become a point where I become obsolete because the software I've created can then go create itself? Which is quite.
They did say, interestingly. Sorry, I know I get in trouble for this. They said that ChatGPT 3.5 was created by ChatGPT.
That's the whole point. That's when you're pricing yourself.
So if you look at the timeline between evolutions of ChatGPT, sorry to harp on about ChatGPT, but it's kind of the core of AI.
Yeah.
The time between evolutions got shorter, right?
I think that there is always going to be the need for human supervision. Now, we have 10 developers, maybe they won't be all needed for that particular supervision, right? But they have an opportunity. I mean, we have been used to kind of get comfortable in our jobs, and especially in certain types of jobs to feel very safe. So I think that what is needed is a mind shift.
Yep.
So, a mindset shift, better said, so that, one recognizes early on, okay, so what else can I start learning and incorporating into my skills, so that, okay, even if I stop developing this program because it develops itself and I just need to check on stuff, I can still offer these skills which are needed.
And that's back to the point. We can't get lazy. We have to use the time.
Exactly.
Plus it needs, you're telling it what to do. There's scope of what you need it to deliver.
Yeah,
but at what point does it then go?
Exactly, and there's that human
intervention.
Not so much intervention, but there's that human tendency to use that time less creatively and be lazy, right? Whereas you actually should replace it. Now we've seen the films, Skynet, Awareness.
I would say
Johnny Five, Short Circuit.
Well, the streets sound like Minority Report now with the electric car.
See, and we know some people have had the foresight before to visualize the future, and some of which kind of coming true.
What I think is it's definitely much smarter to invest in Netflix than to Netflix binge. And
oh really?
Yeah, I really think so.
Disney Shogun's great.
Disney as well.
Apple TV, all of the above. Yeah.
It's all self-discipline. It sounds bad, but unfortunately,
she speaks the truth. The truth. No more Netflix.
I mean, we know tools as Khaled also mentioned. Your marketing and sales. We had Kavi on talking. Social engineering within sales, and in marketing. Everything gets flooded. I mean, my wife bought an item of clothing last week, and I had no idea. But then I look at YouTube, or I looked on one of my browsers, and it popped up with this Answear, and I'm like, I have no idea what it is. And then a receipt came through on my bank card, and it went that name of that company. I'm like, bloody hell! So it's listening to her, knows what we're together. I mean, I'm fascinated. I think it's fab.
It is.
I do.
But again, the control has to be
it's
there,
got that
right? The
control,
human control.
algorithms. I mean, when Google came out, everybody's like, it's just a box that you put things in. But you can't go through a day without religiously. I mean, I ask Alexa, how's the weather? I do my alarm clock, put a timer on for my cooking. And I ask her to ask Google to ask Bing, and then Bing's asked Google to tell Alexa. I love it, but
You have a whole team working for
the whole
you.
team.
Do
Yeah.
you know what? Every
a shame they don't clean the bathroom.
if somebody's watching the podcast, their Alexa's just fired up.
Alexa, what time is it?
Hey Siri, bing, 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 bing.
Alexa, ask Siri to watch InfoMatters podcast.
Magdalena, thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
joining
Really,
us.
really good insights. Really good insights.
Fantastic. So,
And like I say, if you ring that bell, if you like,
Exactly.
you can win an InfoMatters podcast.
I was going to say beer mat. It's a little bit big for a beer mat. Big of mouse mat. Oh, you know what I mean.
Anyway, if you like the show, tell your friends about it. If you're in for opportunities, look at the link below to intelligence.com. We're looking for AI, intelligence, developers, engineers, architects, all of those wonderful things. So upskill yourself. Take that note.
Absolutely.
And hope to see you next time.
Episode 16 coming up, guys. We'll see you next time.
Take
care.
Bye-bye.